All right, let's talk about something we all hear about: generational wealth. You know, these huge fortunes built up and passed down through a family. But what if I told you that for most families, that wealth is actually more like a melting ice cube than some solid, unbreakable foundation? We're going to dig into why so many families, well, they struggle to hold on to their fortunes and figure out what the real key to a lasting legacy actually is. And it really all starts with this one single number: 90%. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. It's a staggering figure, right? And it points to this massive, widespread failure. But a failure of what exactly? This. This is what? 90% of a family's wealth gone, vanished by the time the grandkids are in charge. You know, there's this old saying that goes shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations. Think about it. The first generation makes the money. The second generation enjoys it. And the third? They're right back where grandpa and grandma started. So the billion-dollar question is, why? Why does this happen over and over again?
Okay, so before we can even get to the why, we've got to understand just how big this problem is. Let's dig into what people often call the 3-generation curse.
Whoa! Okay, look at this. What's absolutely wild is how fast this drop-off happens. This isn't some slow, gradual decline over a century. No way. Look at that cliff dive between Generation 1 and Generation 2. A whopping 70% of the family's assets, poof, gone by the time the kids take over. And by the time you get to the 3rd generation, you're left with just 10%. And here's the kicker. This isn't some rare, unlucky thing. This is the norm. This is what usually happens.
So, if it's not just a string of bad luck, what in the world is going on? Let's get into our next section and really diagnose the root causes here. And trust me, the answer is they might not be what you think.
So you might think the biggest threat to a family fortune is a stock market crash, right? Or maybe a terrible business deal. But it's not. It turns out the real danger, it's a breakdown inside the family. We're talking about a total lack of communication about money. Heirs who are completely unprepared for the weight of it all, no shared vision for what the money is even for, and maybe worst of all, a complete collapse of trust. These are the real fortune killers.
This analogy just hits the nail on the head. I mean, think about it. Would you hand the keys to a screaming, high-performance race car to someone who's never even had a driving lesson and just say, have fun? Of course not. You'd expect a crash, right? Well, that is exactly what we're doing when we pass on huge financial assets without also passing on the financial knowledge to manage them.
And you can actually see that disconnect right here. On one hand, you've got the older generations, the boomers, who generally feel pretty confident about their financial know-how. But then you look at the younger generations, the ones set to inherit all this, and their confidence levels are way, way lower. They just don't feel prepared. And that huge gap, that canyon between confidence and confidence, that's where fortunes go to die.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the problem, this lack of preparedness. But the good news is the solution starts to become pretty clear. And it's not just about hiring better lawyers or accountants. It goes deeper. It's about a fundamental shift in focus to something we're calling the knowledge inheritance.
And this is the goal. Financial literacy. It's so much more than just knowing what a stock is or how to read a balance sheet. It's having the confidence and the skills to manage your money, to make smart short-term decisions, and to plan for the long haul. It's the difference between being a passenger in your financial life and actually getting behind the wheel. It is a skill, a powerful one, not just a pile of cash.
And this is where we really see the difference. Look, financial assets, cash, stocks, property, they're finite. They can be spent, they can run out. But financial literacy, financial knowledge, that's an asset that can grow forever. It actually compounds over time, getting more valuable. One is about what you have. The other, the much more powerful one, is about what you can do.
I love this quote because it just cuts right to the heart of it. The greatest inheritance isn't money, it's the wisdom and the skills to manage it effectively. The real goal isn't just leaving a massive pile of cash. It's leaving behind heirs who know how to protect it, how to grow it, and how to use it to make a difference.
All right, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? How do you build this knowledge inheritance? Well, it definitely doesn't happen by accident. You need a plan. So let's get practical. Let's open up the playbook.
It really boils down to a pretty straightforward 4-step framework. Step 1, you just have to start the conversation. Break the taboo. Step 2,
Define your family's values. Ask that big question. What is this money for? Step 3. Educate and empower. You've got to actively teach and build confidence in the next generation. And finally, step 4. Create a formal plan. Put it all down on paper so everybody is on the same page and working toward the same goal.
You know, that first step, just starting the conversation, that's usually the hardest part. But it is the foundation for everything else. And it can't just be a dry talk about dollars and cents or spreadsheets. You have to connect the money to the things that actually matter: your family's values, your shared goals, your dreams for the future. That's what gives wealth a real purpose, a why.
And once you start having those deeper, more meaningful conversations, something amazing happens. Your focus starts to shift. It's no longer just about preserving a pile of cash. It becomes about building something much, much bigger. You start building a truly lasting legacy. And really, that's the big takeaway from all of this. True generational wealth, it isn't measured by the number of zeros in a bank account. It's measured by the knowledge that gets passed down, the opportunities that are created, and the shared values that act as a compass for the family, long, long after the person who made the money is gone.
So I'll leave you with this one question to really think about. When it's all said and done, what will be your family's most valuable asset? Will it be something that can be spent and disappear? Or will it be something that can grow forever?